let us get started. Thank you for being here with us today. Can you tell us about yourself? What is your name? Where were you born? And where did you grow up? Where in Greece is your family from?
Okay, so my name is Niko Villela. I am from Arizona. My dad's from Mexico. My mom's from Greece. And her parents are both from Greece as well. They're from Zakynthos.
So why did your family decide to move from Greece to the United States? Was it your grandparents that came over?
Yes, it was my grandparents that came over. My understanding is they grew up pretty poor. They grew up in a little village in Zakynthos. And when they came to the United States, they kind of came with nothing. So they had to build themselves up. I think they were kind of following the American dream. That was kind of their goal or aspiration. And yeah, they came with no formal education. Basically, their trade skills. My grandma was a sewer, and so was my grandpa.
So you told me that you used to do Greek folk dance, and you've been active in the Greek Orthodox Church throughout your life. Can you tell us more about your involvement in the Greek diaspora and community?
Yeah, so when I was a kid, my mom put me in Greek dance. This would happen like after church, so just the community would get together, and then we'd learn how to Greek dance. And that was a lot of fun. You kind of got to know, get an idea of kind of like the Greek culture. That was my first kind of semblance after, being a part of the Orthodox Church since I was like really, really little. It was around first grade that I started to do Greek dance. And again, you got to meet a lot of cool people. Greek music is definitely super different from American music or Latin music, something like that. So you kind of get a little taste of all this culture just in one place. So it was a lot of fun. I think I stuck with it until 6th grade, and then that's when things kind of started to get a little busy for me, but it was a great experience. And again, it was kind of like that was my first kind of dive into Greek culture and kind of like what it's all about.
Did you have a favorite Greek dance doing growing up, or like a favorite Greek song?
I was pretty good at 1, 2, 3 kick kick. That's pretty basic one. It wasn't a crazy one. I look at, Greek festivals now, like there's one at Holy Trinity. There's people doing all this like crazy moves, and I wish I knew how to do those. But no, I only know the basics. I know how to do what's called the 12-step, 1, 2, 3 kick kick. And these aren't obviously the formal names. They're just what I...
Kalamatiano?
Yeah, the Kalamatiano.
How would you describe the Greek community in Arizona?
There are a lot more Greeks than I thought would be here in Arizona. I mean, the climate's completely different, the environment's completely different, but you have a great community of Greek people that I would say. They genuinely take care of each other, and they are out, to help. One of the biggest things that I notice about American culture especially, and similar to Latin culture, the Greeks really do take care of each other. They have like this, if you need something, they're there for you. If, you're having troubles, they'll go out of their way for you. I've had many experiences in my life where that's happened. They, people or my relatives that I've never even met, they know my name. They send me money even like for my birthday or Christmas or something like that. And I feel kind of bad because I don't know these people, but they're still just a really caring community. That's what I would say about them.
So you told me a bit about you tore your ACL and the story about finding the doctor, and then your mom was able to find a Greek doctor and get you that surgery within a shorter amount of time. Can you tell us about that story? Yeah,
so this was back in, I believe, junior year of high school. So I tore my ACL playing soccer, and the process for actually getting the surgery, so the diagnosis and everything like that is actually a longer process than most people think. So you have to get your MRI, all that fun stuff, and that was just a process in and of itself. But getting the surgery date, usually they push it out 2 months, 6 weeks, something like that. And we were kind of in a hurry because we had soccer season coming up the next year. Typically it's a year-long recovery process. When we were looking for doctors, everyone was booked. It was extremely difficult, but my mom being my mom, she knew who to call. She used the Greek card. I believe the doctor's name is Dr. Ekonopoulos, so very Greek. And so she contacted him, and yeah, we were able to get a surgery date within 2 weeks' time. It was incredible.
Yeah, so that goes back to what you were talking about that culture of caring.
Exactly.
And hospitality.
Yeah. It's incredibly, it's something that I noticed again in Greek communities. I noticed the same thing in in Turkish, like kind of like the Balkan community. It seems to be very similar across the board. Yeah.
So on that note about hospitality and culture and all these connections, so you told me a bit about your, I'm probably going to butcher it, yiayia.
Yeah.
I've heard different people pronounce it different ways. I don't know what's correct. And for me, my grandma living nearby, speaking to me only in Serbian since she doesn't know English, teaching me my family history, cooking Balkan dishes has been so incredibly important in connecting me to my culture and helping me sustain it. So can you tell us more about how your yiayia has played an important role in you being connected to your culture?
Yeah, my yiayia definitely, the first thing I would say is whenever she comes and visits us, we're always going to church that week. Always, I mean, she makes sure our family always stays, in line. Again, she kind of got me to kind of like love church and be there. My relatives, all of them are extremely religious, and they kind of brought me into it, and I'm very thankful for that too. So that's the first thing I would say is she introduces us again to everyone in the church, even to people that I don't know, but they know me. I would say as well, she has tried to get me to learn Greek. I've been a part of Greek school for a little bit, and I'm not sure that panned out perfectly. I wouldn't say I know a lot of Greek, but she definitely tries with me. She'll speak Greek to me in the house, and I can kind of like understand it. But again, that's just her trying to, again, bring her kind of background and culture and bring it here to me, because she doesn't really want to lose that, and I don't want to lose that for her. She'll teach me how to do Greek recipes, Greek dishes. And I'll try to just write those, recipes down, because again, those are things that, even though they're trivial, maybe to me in a way, like those, not the acts of like her helping me out, but the recipes, it's just a recipe, right? But for her, it's something that she loves to do. It's cooked with Greek ingredients, so like feta cheese, and the recipes as all together, they're uniquely Greek. And so I want to try to continue that in a way. So it's super important for me. And I'm very thankful for her that she tries to, again, bring her kind of background and culture to me. Because she grew up in a small village with not a lot. But from what they did do with it, it was, again, she's trying to assimilate me into that.
For me as well, like the recipes, my grandma makes all of the Serbian Balkan dishes. And I want to learn how to make them, since sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know how to make this, but I really want to eat it. But the problem is, I don't know if your grandma is like this, your yiayia is like this, but my grandma doesn't write recipes down.
No, she doesn't.
There are no recipes. Like, she'll say, like, put this amount of salt, a little bit of salt.
Little handful or a little pinch,
salt. And I'm like, it's just different how they pass down recipes. It's like I have to memorize it, but I feel like living in America, we've been so ingrained to like, I need an exact recipe.
Right, like just a teaspoon, or like you need 2 teaspoons. It's the exact same way with my grandma. She doesn't write down anything. She's more like, yeah, you just kind of feel it. I'm like, I'm not really sure what that means.
Like,
I don't know if I feel it, it's not going to be tasting pretty good. So yeah, it's the same experience. That's why I have to I asked her, like, listen, we need to write this down. Like, I want to learn how to do this, but I'm just so not used to that way of cooking, or that way of, so. Do
you have a favorite dish that you've made?
My grandma makes a mean octopus. She is so good at calamari and octopus. It is incredible,
Now that we've been talking about cooking and keeping those dishes alive in our lives, how do you practice your Greek culture in your everyday life? What are some little things you do that may be distinctly Greek?
Distinctly Greek, I'm not really sure. Just because, again, you kind of get caught up in like the regular things that you do like day to day, so school, soccer, hanging out with friends. So I wouldn't say there's something distinctly Greek, but something like, praying every night, going to, it's just those, that again, I am Greek Orthodox, so it's something that I grew up with, so that sticks with me every night. Or again, like my cooking, I feel like some of like the things that my grandma taught me, I do try to cook once in a while, like those dishes at my house or in my dorm. I would like for there to be more, but yeah, it does kind of, the day-to-day does kind of take a hold sometimes, so you just kind of.
I think those dishes, going to church, doing whatever you can, those are all important things. It's like the essence of Greekness or Balkanness that we have in our daily lives, like the little things that we do. Both Anne and I have dealt with a sense of identity conflict or crisis related to like in the United States, amongst like our American friends, we feel to Balkan, like Serbian, Bulgarian, and then sometimes when we're like with our Balkan relatives, we'll feel to American. So since you come from different like a background with multiple cultures intertwined within that, have you ever felt this sense of identity conflict?
I would certainly say definitely for Greek, the Greek culture, I felt that because we live in Arizona. The geography is, I mean, we're thousands of miles away from, I mean, the homeland Greece. I don't necessarily feel it as much with the Latin culture since we're so close to Mexico. There's more of a Latin presence here in Arizona. So, but in terms of the Greek, I certainly feel that, especially because it's very distinct and unique. Like you don't have you have your Latin culture, you have the American culture, which is very different from both of them. But I definitely feel, you know, at time to time when I tell people like, hey, I'm Greek Orthodox, they're like, oh, what is that? Like most people don't know what Orthodoxy is here. Most people, they're used to like Catholic or something like that. Or I tell people I'm Greek, they're like, oh, that's so cool. They don't really know, again, what that really means or entails. They're like, oh, I love yiayia. I'm like, yeah, that's part of it. And then again, talking to my Greek relatives, I feel really, really bad that I don't speak Greek. Because sometimes it's like they don't speak English very well. So... And I do know how to speak Spanish, but I'm like, I can't really do that either. So I do feel like more of a sense of not belonging in a way for when I go and I'm with my Greek relatives, because I just, again, I'm so used to the American culture, the Latin culture, that it's just, it's something completely different and completely new. So that's kind of my deal with it. But I want to also emphasize that the culture of hospitality is always there. They're always trying to just connect with me. They always ask me about soccer or school and things like that, even though we can't really communicate like you and I are right now. That's something that I just appreciate and I really notice from them. But I feel that sense of, wow, there's so much more for me to learn.
A lot of people that we've talked to that are around our age, our generation, a lot of us, as we're getting older, I guess, when we're like reaching our 20s, we're in college, are realizing that we really have to make the effort now, put forth the effort to keep our cultures alive, to sustain our languages, to whether you like practice parts of your culture through going to church, like religion, or listening to music. It's like really up to us now, and managing, I guess, that identity conflict. That's something that Anna and I have reflected on. It
is more of the burden is on kind of us, and it's on the person to, do you want to continue that, or, you know, is it just gonna kind of fade away, which I feel like would be kind of a shame, because there's so much to it. There's so much to learn from it. Coming from different parts of the world, again, you start to understand where people come from different perspectives, and they come with you with just such a background of, I don't know how to say it, but it's just, there's so much to learn from each person and each culture that I feel like it would be really a shame to just kind of let it pass by. So I do try to keep that in mind.
You said you've never visited Greece, right?
Yeah, I've never visited.
Do you have any plans to visit Greece?
I would love to visit Greece. Yeah, that's definitely on the bucket list. Yeah, visiting family. My great grandma is still alive. She's 95, wow. I believe. Yeah, so I'd love to go visit her. I've actually never met her in my life. So that's definitely in the plans. I'm not sure when, but wow. Yeah.
That would be really special.
Oh yeah, it would be very, very special.
So now we have a few questions to kind of wrap up that relate to our overall project. So Balkan in Amerika aims to reconstruct narratives about the Balkans and its diasporas, like building bridges across ethnic lines, having these conversations due to tensions that have existed previously. I mean, between like Serbs and Greeks, there's never really been tension, but overall, like that's what our goal is. So what do you think about this goal of building peace in America amongst members of the Balkan diaspora?
I mean, obviously, I think it's a very noble cause. It's something that I can completely understand, because when, you know, you talk about the Balkans, sometimes people typically go to, you know, the wars that have happened, the conflicts between Serbs and Croatians, Yugoslavia. You know, that region has definitely been a region of turmoil in the past. It's, again, I never really thought of it that way, just because I do come from that region, and there's so much more to it than just learning from a history book, oh, this war happened. Because that's kind of like, if you look at history and it's just a brief overview, you really don't dive into the culture. This is what the people were about. This is what they did. This is what they eat. This is how they live their day-to-day lives, which is, you know, for some people might think is not that big of a deal, but it's a huge significance. So again, I think it's I think it's a noble cause, and I think it's worth doing.
Thank you. Yeah, you've encapsulated another one of our main goals to show that there's a lot more to the region than war and conflict. Like, there's so much more, so that's what we're trying to show. So you kind of already touched on this with language and cooking and one day hopefully visiting Greece. Do you have any plans on other plans on how you will continue to preserve your Greek culture while being in the United States? Do you have anything you'd like to do you have any ways that you like to share your Greek culture with your friends?
I would say the main way is church. I obviously want to continue that. I'll continue going to church for the rest of my life. It's been such a big part of me in my life, especially here in Arizona in the United States. In college even, it's gotten me through, I would say, a lot. You know, there's times where you feel a little isolated, you know, like it could be your classes, schoolmates, whatever. But just going back to Orthodoxy, like my church, it is known as it's Greek Orthodox, but just going back to there, you feel like you're at home. I think of my grandma. I think of like my family that goes there. It's just those roots that are dug down deep, and that's kind of how I plan on continuing. I mean, I'd like to find someone that's Orthodox, you know, to spend the rest of my life with. That's optimal. I mean, you never know what's going to happen, but just kind of continuing that is really important for me. That's how I think. I would continue it.